Welcome to the Call the Farms podcast. I'm your host, Tim Ing, the homesteading agent, joined by my lovely wife, Sophie.
Hey friends, this is Sophie with Sprinkle with Soil and also known as the homesteading lender.
We are at the end of September and we haven't done an update.
It's been busy. Travel is already starting to pick back up this month. After almost a year of really not traveling, we did one big event, the Modern Homesteading Conference this year, but we've been laying low and somehow managing to stay extremely busy during the Sabbath year. But so we figured we should record before we take off again.
We need to do a housing market update for end of September, beginning of October, as well as the homestead update.
Yes. So let's start off with the housing market update. I just got back from Detroit, Michigan. I was there 2 weeks ago and there to talk with the CEO as well as my account executive there. This is the number one mortgage lender, a wholesale mortgage lender in the United States. And I send a lot of my deals to them. So in light of what we're seeing with the mortgage rates dropping, I wanted to make sure that my clients were not just processed through a file and a file number, but actually prioritized, because we saw this in 2020 and 2022. Now, I don't anticipate we're ever going to really see 3.5% again in our lifetime. But when rates dropped to where they were in the 2020 to the 2022 timeframe, where we were at 2.25% interest rate, a lot of the lenders at that time, and you had felt it a lot because you were working with other lenders, where they did not want to process purchase loans. So that means if you were a buyer and you're wanting to buy a home, most lenders were opting out and not choosing to work with you because it was much easier and quicker to work on a refinance deal. Less paperwork. Because I wanted to get ahead of it, I wanted to go up there, talk to them, make sure that I had some FaceTime, get to know everybody, including my processors, anybody that's going to touch the file, the appraisal teams, to make sure that they can put a face to a name, and that if there's anything that I need to do to help push, that they would be there to help. All that to say, while I was there, September 16th, Jerome Powell made a huge announcement. Now, if you're in the lending world, you obviously have heard about it, but many of my clients reached out to me, not even knowing the lending space. Like, I would say I haven't ever had a time where my clients were really keen on what was happening with mortgage rates, and not just my purchase clients or not just our clients, but our refinance clients as well. They have been waiting to refinance. So Jerome Powell made an announcement on actually September 17th, and he had said that he was going to drop the rates, and it dropped 0.25%. Now, that's the federal rate. That is not the Fed rates. That's not the mortgage rates. And mortgage rates, so that if you're just joining, I always mention this because it seems to be a topic of lots of questions come from it. But your mortgage rates, our mortgage rates, are not tied to the Fed rates. They're tied to the 10-year Treasury bond. So what that means is there's a little bit more of a reaction time. Most often, the rates have already been built into what we're seeing in the mortgage rates already. So all that to say, when Jerome Powell, who is the Fed chair, made the announcement that he was going to drop it 0.25%, the markets reacted positively. And then about a half an hour later, he says that this is just a temporary Band-Aid, that there will only be 2 more rate cuts this year and only one in 2026. Now, if you joined me and Tim in our May and June update, Jerome Powell was actually saying that there were going to be 7 mortgage rate cuts or Fed rate cuts in 2026. So because he dropped it down to just one in 2026, the entire market reacted, including the stock market, the bond market. And so all that to say, there was a window of time, and there still is a window of time now to make your purchases at the lower interest rate and the refinances. I currently have 3 refinance deals going and 2 purchases right now in the pipeline, and it's picking up. But all that to say, when the Fed cuts rates like that, it's really for the short-term credit. So if you have like credit card interest rate, your car loans, your student loans, personal loans, home equity lines of credit, you're going to see a huge benefit there, right? That's where you go ahead and start refinancing any of those debts, pay off your short-term debt as quickly as possible. And so, yeah, I do want to share, there is a client of ours that we worked with last year. They were retiring. They hadn't fully retired yet. The husband is a master plumber.
Yep.
And they bought out here from California as a second home. So they're at 8.625%. That was because rates were high last year. And also, if you're purchasing a second home or an investment home, interest rates are going to be higher. But they knew that it was going to be short term, that when they retired, and now they have, that they were going to refinance. So now we have a window of opportunity where they were going to refinance. And I actually, because I've been in the business since 2006, I have seen the 2008 crash. I've seen the 2012 crash. I've seen the 2020. We've seen a lot in the mortgage world. And not only that, I work not just in California and Tennessee. I cover a multitude of states, from Washington State, North Carolina, Florida, and now South Carolina, that we work with so many different clients that it really is market independent. There are unique stories. Everybody's got a unique story and a unique situation. So I actually told them let's go ahead and lock your refinance rate at 6.625. This was the day before Jerome Powell went on to make his announcement. And so that was September 16th was when we locked. I remember, because it is a special birthday of ours and our family. And thankfully we did, because the next day after Jerome Powell made his announcement, I checked it again to just run through the scenario to see curiously what the rates would have been. And the rates would have been 7.125 if they had waited to lock. So I'm glad. This is a little bit of strategy, but a lot intuition, and just seeing how the cost of everything, like the labor market, the inflation, what the entire US economy is based off of right now. I feel like we are hanging from a house of cards. It really is quite a volatile market. So if you are in a position to purchase, now is a great time to do. Again, I really don't think that we're going to see rates sub 4% again for a very long time. And I think we've talked about it before. I think it's really hard to outsave the market.
That's absolutely right. Buyers have really picked up in the past couple of months. Our own property, our former property in Rogersville, went under contract, and it was actually from one of our listeners. Another one of our listeners also purchased another property that I had off market, and I had advertised it. And so we are seeing things pick up. I have 2 more referrals just in the past week alone, one from Georgia and another from Colorado. People have been sitting on the sidelines this past year, and with the given news and update, yes, it helped a little bit, but at the end of the day, it was more like, hey, if we're going to make a move, and a lot of our listeners out there who are listening right now, they're thinking, hey, I want to go on this homestead journey. When do I make that next step? When do I take that next step? There's no better time than now. If what we have been telling you this whole year, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for these interest rates to drop? By how much? The priority should be, do you have things in order in your home? If you're working with a partner and you're trying to fulfill this homestead dream, are you both on the same page? Have you come out and taken a look at the states that you're interested in and visited the communities? Have you started doing this type of research? Have you actually flown out and actually spent time? Because it's actually much more difficult to find that perfect property than it is to try to figure out when is the best time to buy. Because once the rates drop to a certain point, everybody's going to jump right in. And it's going to be that much more difficult to get the property you want. And you're going to be paying so much more because you're going to be outbidding one another. So we're seeing on our end, a surge. It's a pickup in terms of buyer activity. And like I mentioned, with referrals and even with our off-market properties already under contract.
So reach out to me if you need any financing questions. If you are in a home and you're thinking about whether it's a good time to refinance or not, I'm happy to run through the numbers for you to see if it makes financial sense for you to go ahead and refi. And if you're looking to purchase, let's have a conversation on what your budget should be, how much you're comfortable in paying per month, and then we can back off from there. Feel free to reach out to both of us, but on the financing side, if you need a pre-approval for your purchase, or if you're wanting to refinance into a lower interest rate, like for example, the couple that I was just telling you about, we dropped them 2% from 8.625 down to 6.625, and they are saving over $1,000 a month on one income, 1.5 incomes, right? He's got retirement income as well. But all that to say, that's $1,000 that you're saving. You can put that back into your pocket. You can pay off your loan faster. It's just extra cash. Why not recoup that cash for you and your family?
Yep. Some more interesting news before we jump into what we're doing on our homestead. There's a lot of things going on this week. In fact, a lot of the federal employees who received that fork in the road email and they chose to have a deferred resignation or chose to retire early, hey, you've taken the next best step, because once you leave, you can start doing what you really wanted to do, what you're passionate about. I too was a former federal employee, and not only am I passionate about real estate and insurance, but also wealth protection, asset protection, and creating generational wealth. So I am putting together a webinar. It's going to be on Sunday, October 19th. I've been doing so much research, and I'm doing this. I wouldn't recommend something that I haven't done myself, and learning what not to do and what to do in terms of your TSP funds. That's something that is really interesting for me. And also how to create your own brand, how to create your own side hustles, your business, and how to create that and make it a full-fledged thing so that you can support yourselves and your loved ones. I'm going to go into more detail about that. And so I'm just putting a little plug in right there, and I will drop a link below. So if you're watching this on YouTube as well as on listening or watching on Spotify, you'll see that link as well. All right, on to exciting news about our homestead. Today, we brought home a couple of our cows.
Oh, okay. We'll start there. Yes.
Okay.
So
We'll go backwards. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go backwards. That was, showered tonight.
This news here.
Because it was a pretty busy day.
Yeah.
We put our 2 dairy cattle out with our friends and mentors out about an hour away from us. They run 70 head of cattle.
Yeah.
And so our 2 ladies, one of them in particular was not going into heat, and we thought it was because she was in heavy milking. So we dried her off early, sent her off to camp, and then not freezer camp. And then we also had our other Jersey cattle, which is actually mom's cow that she bought 2 years ago. And this will be her 3rd calf with us.
She's great.
Yes.
But our good friends, they have this bull, and he is, I believe he's tenant beef. And so you can really geek out and nerd out about what exactly is tenant beef. And from my understanding, it's the tenderness of the beef. And this came out just a few years ago. It's very recent. And so he's super excited about this and having this tenant bull and breeding all his entire herd. So we were super blessed to be able to partake in this and bring our cows over. And so it was such a huge blessing.
Yeah. So I think they were hanging out for about 2 months.
Yeah.
And
we brought them back today. And I thought it would be something super simple. It became, we're going to have a video on it and we'll share it. I thought it was going to be,
we can probably share it here.
We thought maybe we could shake a bucket, because sometimes we supplement, and we thought maybe that will entice them to get on the trailer. And our cows have been there just for a couple of months, and they were already part of the herd, and they were moving with the herd. And
tells you why you don't send your kids to public school. Just kidding. Just kidding.
With the help of his sons, we were able to corral them, and you were able to help coax our cows back in. And we brought them over. And if you've been listening, tuning in, we brought them back to the lease land that those same boys help us in terms of putting the fencing together. And that's barbed wire fence, which I also just released a barbed wire fence course because I wish there was a video course when I was looking into doing high tensile or barbed wire fencing and when do I use either? Does it depend on what the type of livestock or the property I have? And so there's actually a lot of thought that goes into it, which is what I captured in this course. And not just how do you do it, but what are the thoughts behind it? So if you want to learn more about that, there's also a link for that
There's
as well.
a link for that and a link to our Call to Farms membership that we've just released. And this is where you can ask all your questions on fencing, on homestead security, on securing your homestead, buying your homestead. And then I'm starting to drop in the cooking aspects of it.
That's great.
Because I actually, one, I wrote a cookbook. And number two, I am starting to really geek out on fermentation. It has been a really fun thing. After I did the Kim Jong event locally here, which is where I brought the whole community together and we made kimchi, and then we brought it over to our event at the Homesteaders United. We served the same kimchi that weeks ago our local community had made and provided. So I loved it so much. There's something about fermentation and community. And so just this past Friday, a couple of days ago,
you just came from Charlottesville.
Yeah, we went up to visit the Koji house. In that video, you could see the full tour. It's an unofficial podcast interview, but that is now listed on YouTube under Sprinkle with Soil. You could check that out. But I got to spend time with the owners of the North American Sake Brewery, as well as Nick from the Koji house. And what's fascinating about them is that they are making Koji in-house in a huge room, which is an incubator, but they're turning it into one of the highest quality sake, and as well as rice koji for us to make more of the umami flavors, koji, miso, amazaki, and obviously. But it's just so good when you've had not just fermented food, but traditionally done and done right in a way that is very simple. You really don't need any outside seasonings at all. Anything chemically made in a lab is just not something that I've ever advocated. And so it was great to see, because they actually source their rice from the United States. It's either bought in California or in Arkansas. And I don't want to spoil it, because you can just hop over to our YouTube and check it out. But it's nice because, one, it's not that I just don't trust anything that has been shipped overseas. A lot of the rice koji that's available today in the market is just shipped overseas. And so knowing that, it's nice to know that these guys have created a business where they are providing it made in the US with the traditional and real kojikin, which are the koji spores from Japan, Osaka in particular. So it's really fascinating. It's really fascinating. And if you were with us, if you follow us on our YouTube, we love doing these types of tours. We did a podcast interview and a tour when we were in Honolulu, Hawaii. I was going to ask about that. What about that rice factory? So we did that at the rice factory. Yeah. And book number 2 that is about to come out in the spring. I have a lot of these recipes using the traditional fermentation, not just for our food, where you can pickle with rice bran, for example, which is a completely useful byproduct, but now we can turn it into something which will act as a fermenting agent, which is fantastic for when we think about having a zero waste kitchen. And not only is it economical, but I feel like it is sustainable, regenerative, whatever term you want to use, but it keeps it where costs are low and we're able to use what we have and use it to the fullest and optimize it before we feed it to the chickens or before we throw it away or turn it into compost. there's so many more uses in our food and in our substances that we just haven't tapped into as part of the modern world. And I love this journey into honoring our traditional heritage and how our ancestors across multiple different Asian countries, from Vietnam, China, Japan, Korea being the major ones, but so many other Asian countries out of necessity have had to live this way and eat this way, whether or not we need to today. It is still such an honor to be able to learn about these and try it. And it just makes every single meal more satisfying, knowing that, hey, before we composted, we normally would throw this away, like watermelon rinds, for example. We pickled that and got some additional use out of it. And it's actually very nutritious for us, turning into probiotics. So yeah, all of that to say, it's been a really fun journey. And I'm really looking forward to doing more of these food tours.
We definitely stay really busy, but it's because we ask a lot of questions and it gets really interesting. Now, I'm actually curious because I know you question imported rice and that this rice from the Koji house is made in the USA, but I'm wondering if the rice factory rice, because we geeked out and learned about their traditional methods in Japan of how they harvested the rice. It probably is a very solid product. I wonder if it would be pretty conducive in terms of creating koji from their rice.
I think there is a brand that I would recommend straight from Japan, but I still think that because our soil is important and our gut microbiome.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. Like, you and I are both born here.
Yep.
Yes, there are still some genetic things and from our heritage that have carried over in our genetics, but for the most part, every day, what we're able to eat from the soil, it is a constant biofeedback that we have with our soil and amongst our gut health. So yeah, I do think that would be really neat.
Yeah, to test it.
I actually did buy rice bran from the Rice in Japan.
Yeah.
So those photos will be in book number 2.
Great.
And I'm really excited. Actually, my favorite unofficial chapter of the book is Appendix E. And we haven't formally asked him yet, but I would love to interview one of our friends and mentors, because his opinion and all his research has really helped us throughout the years answer the question of the calendar. And the calendar, whether it's our biblical calendar, what we should be following, but also I believe that it should tie very closely, if not be the actual calendar for the agriculture calendar that we should follow. So I'm really excited about it. We'll have to make sure we can book some time to have him on our podcast. But it's been a fascinating journey learning about our food, our health, our family, and our passion, and hearing all of your stories.
Yep.
And how we can help inspire you in your journey as well.
That's right. And not only to mention, we've been going on these trips, we've been moving cattle, but our driveway is all torn up right now. We live out in the country on 40 acres. And if you came out to visit, which we actually had a few visitors, we had one of our friends who came by and he dropped off his rooster the other evening. And I'm sorry for the mess. Typically, we don't have things out of control like this, but it's because we have construction going on. We finally saved up. We have enough money to put in these ball waterers for our cattle, and just in time too, before the winter, so we don't have to be carrying around these 5-gallon buckets of water, warm water, to make sure that they have water to drink. And so this is something that has been in the works. I don't know anybody else who'd be as excited as I am about ball waterers, but they are tying them in, and it's been 5 months long waiting for them to get out here and do it, because there's just so much construction going on in our county alone. And I'm truly grateful. And I know our animals are going to be truly grateful for this. So
yeah.
Pretty excited.
It has been 3 years, 3 winters in Tennessee for us. This will be our 3rd one.
Yeah.
It'll be our 3rd one. And the last 2 winters that we've been here have been really rough. And they said, oh, it's just a freaky cold winter. but it's happened twice where we have had to carry from our bathtub, fill out 4 5-gallon buckets.
That's right.
And put them into a gorilla cart and roll them down to the animals, break through ice in our trough, and then pour hot water in, only to have it freeze again in a couple of hours. And we had to do that for several weeks, which it's fun for the first couple of times. And the kids are making snow angels and on the way to bring our waters out. But where we are right now, it makes we have realized that it's that chore in particular that makes us want to quit. It makes us hate the winter. It makes us, we do get into like contentious times during those chores where nobody really wants to do it because it's a lot further away from our home now than it was at the other property. So as I was looking out, and I don't normally leave, but I was driving out and I couldn't drive out because the driveway is torn up, and it was a huge shock. I went out to the animals and I was like, do we really want to do this? Do we really love the animals this much that we literally have dug up the entire driveway, the pasture, everything? It is an investment for our food source. We are very resolved to the fact that we don't trust where and how other people raise their food, their meat, their dairy, their eggs, any of it, to the point where it is worth us like literally ripping up our entire earth ground so that we could get ball waters in for the animals this winter. I'm very grateful for it. But there were moments today where I was just like in utter shock, like how much money and is it worth it and for what? And ultimately, at the end of the day, the answer is, I cannot trust what we buy in the grocery store. Our grocery bills right now is like $200, and that's without any protein. That's just with some veggies and some things, but not enough to actually make to cover any protein intake. And yet our bills are rising. So at the end of the day, this is an investment for our family and our community where we can continue to provide the best quality food for our family, the most nutrient dense for our family and those that we love around us.
I love how you mentioned that we've identified the source of pain for us, and it's going to be different for every family, but for us it's carrying buckets of water out when it's freezing cold, literally, and trying to figure out a solution for that and saving up for that solution and just being grateful to be able to do it and implement it. And really excited about that.
It is, we used to take lots of vacations, and a family of 6 can easily rack up $5,000, $10,000 to a trip to like Walt Disney World or Disneyland or anywhere else. But we really have not gone on a big trip or vacation in a very long time, unless it was tied to a speaking engagement where we could. But even then, the last speaking engagement we did in Idaho, we didn't have enough time to really take the time off because of the dairy animals. So we have made the sacrifices to choose not, we've built our lives where we don't have to take a vacation from our lives, but it is still very hard work. And
the cows,
and so even though we don't take the time to go on a vacation, that's why we have to build in time to be what I would say like part-time farmers, because we both work full-time and we choose to do the hard work, but for a limited amount of time. So for example, we're doing 6 months on this year with the cattle for milking, and then we're going to do 6 months off, except that we bought 2 more cows, so it's only going to be like 4 months off. and then when February happens, but kicks in, but otherwise moving forward, we were planning on 6 months on and 6 months off for milking.
You want to strike a balance, and it's good that we're able to get the ball waters in. You're talking about, I wanted to mention too, do you know that each cow drinks like 5 gallons of water a day. So a 5 gallon bucket that you bring down is just for one cow. And cows need to drink water in order to regulate their body temperature. So even in the cold, they're going to have to drink this cold water so that they can stay warm. That was just news for me when I was learning the past few years on cattle. So water is extremely important. Water is life. I'm glad we're able to do this, but at the same time, it's almost like when we're in real estate, you replace the windows with, and you're like, am I going to get my money back on this? You're not, because it's really for you. The windows maybe saving energy for us, putting ball waters. If we ever do sell the property, will they enjoy it unless they have cattle? No, it's something that we know that's going to be very useful and that we're going to be using for our animals.
Even if you bought a full meat cow right now for meat with our local farmer to butcher,
Yeah,
it's still $4,000 to $5,000 right now. So imagine if we can sustain with cattle and invest in the cattle, then we get at least a meat or a dairy cow out
I know.
every year. So we'll have 4 or 5 now.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I do want to put a little plug in here because one of the people I've spoken to, it's an elderly couple. They live in South Dakota, and they sold off 900 acres of their family farm in an auction. And guess what? It went to a conventional ag farmer. And what did he do? He mowed down everything they had. And this farmer in South Dakota, they were certified organic for at least 6 years. They had ball waterers. They were rotationally grazing their cattle. They have Devon cattle. And this buyer, he purchased it and just mowed everything down. He just cried. And he said he has 600 more acres to sell. And he does not want to auction it off because that same buyer will buy it. But at the same time, he needs to sell. He wants retirement funds, and he's not physically capable to do the farming anymore. And I'm just putting this plug out there. If anybody's looking in South Dakota to do regenerative farming, they're doing it the right way. I told him, I wished you lived in Tennessee. I would be more than happy to try to purchase that property or get a group of people to purchase that property. But I get calls like this all the time, and I wanted to share it because my heart goes out to this couple, and people are doing it. They're doing it right now. And if you're interested in purchasing property, or you dreaming about Homestead, turn that dream into a reality. Reach out to me, reach out to us. We can help you take that next step. You were mentioning about vacations. We don't take vacations anymore in that sense, but we actually just came back from South Carolina as well. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's right. So I did the Koji house. That was a day trip, and
That's Virginia.
That you couldn't come, but it was just me and the ladies, and that was a good crazy trip. That was a quick one there and back. But yeah, about a month ago, we got to go to visit a chiropractic school because our eldest is really wanting to fast pace herself through high school and college and then go straight into chiropractic school. We've told her to slow down, and it's totally fine. Please enjoy your childhood.
Yes, please.
But she found out about dual enrollment, and she is next level.
We want to support her.
We want to support her, but
yeah.
like literally right before we did the tour, and it's a secondary college. Like, it is beyond your college degree.
Doctorate program.
Yeah, it's a doctorate program. And I remember, like, the school actually paid for our hotel. And I woke up and, can you just slow down? I just want you to know that you don't have to do this. I'm like, great, we got a free hotel room, but we don't have to do this. And she's like, Mommy, I want to. I'm like, okay. So I'm glad that she's intrinsically motivated.
It was such a nice hotel room too. We're like, oh my gosh,
do they know?
It's just like how like athletes get. Plus, I'm sure athletes get a lot more too. But it's, wow, you're paying for this room. And Sophie, I remember you asked me, like, were you honest when you filled out the form? I said, yeah. I told them what her age was and everything.
Second year,
yeah,
in high
and
school?
and yeah, second year in high school, not college.
Second year in college, because this is a premier treatment for a kid.
And it was a group setting for this open house tour. And although she was the youngest one there, I would say, I know I'm biased, that she was the most serious one there.
She's very motivated.
She is.
She's very intrinsically
Asking
motivated.
all those questions.
We actually try to encourage her to slow it down because I do not want her to grow up too fast and be so responsible. It's totally okay. But I'm also very happy for her. And so while we were there, we also got to visit one of our biggest clay headquarters.
That's right.
Called the Clay King out there in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Which was awesome because the, what do you call it? The teller? No, the potter that we were working with, he was there and we were just running through the scenarios because Joy and Jolie just got their first official commission. They've gotten like 4 now, but this one is an official one that has a deadline. It's a Chelsea Green author as well for her cookbook. And it's not me, not their mom, but another one. And although I am commissioning them to hurry up and make some dishes, but I guess mama is flexible here. So while we were there, we wanted to ask questions on the clay and the glazes and all of that. And actually he ended up being one of my clients for a refi. So it's pretty awesome. But our friend here, I just canceled our local studio membership to take off the training wheels. Our good friend here is coming over and we are starting to just fire up our kiln. So just so you know, we bought a 25-year-old pottery equipment and brought home a kiln last year, and then we had friends who actually helped us hardwire the kiln into the breaker. I actually was there to help them, fish line or fish wire, fish the wire through. Fish the wire through, and did the whole thing with them. And honestly, it was quite daunting. And so because of that, I think it caused a lot of fear that I just didn't want to burn things down. With that being said, it's great. Our friend is coming over and holding our hand through the process, and we will start doing our bisque fire, and we should be doing our glaze fire. And then we should be getting our products out to all of the commission orders by end of October. But we will also be able to ramp up our holiday production into November and December, which is going to be really exciting for the girls. So they are staying very busy.
I love it because we found experts to hold our hands and walk us through our pottery journey, just like how we take care of our clients in their homesteading journey. So it works out. We do our research, we find the best.
But it takes a village.
It
takes a village. I remember when I was pregnant and a lot of our customers at Love Frozen Yogurt Bar, they were telling us, enjoy it because it's going to go by really fast. And also it takes a village. And I'm like, okay, I heard that before, but it's true down to, like how we care for our clients and how we are able to serve our clients, but also many of them become friends. We have mentors that have helped us with raising cattle, borrowing trailers, or borrowing your bull. To helping with fencing, and where we can, we help with providing food. That's nourishing food is our love language for sure. And so it's just a beautiful thing to be able to help serve the community. And likewise, thank you for everybody out there for your support in our pottery business. And our pottery endeavors rather. And
taking a village is a positive thing, not taking a village because it takes a village because your kids are out of control. That could happen as well. But I love that it is such a positive thing when you're coming out here and seeing it all come together, where you just can't do everything on your own. It's not like what it was like back in the Bay Area where you're trying to figure out to do everything on your own. But okay, we got cattle. Cattle's going to have to eat over here, and someone else can help us take care there. We need to borrow a trailer because we don't use a trailer all the time. We go here and borrow from another person, and we take care of them as well because we'll barter with them. Not only do we just borrow the trailer, we'll get them a fresh baked sourdough bread or something. Like, it's so beautiful how we're just so considerate because we're actually thinking of the other person and their needs as well. And it just, homesteading, that's what homesteading is all about. It's not about how much acreage you have.
It's
It's about how are you doing life every
It's
day.
the lifestyle for
Yeah.
sure. It's about leaning on one another and admitting that we don't have it all together, but that's okay because you might have this area of your life together, but we don't. For example, our friend who is helping with our pottery, getting our kiln up. I said, well, how can I compensate you? And he said, you know what? Actually, we really need someone to help hold our hand and with people that we trust because we've never bought a house and we want to be able to ask questions along the way and feel like safe with the team that we select. And
Yeah.
like that brought tears to my eyes because the what people want these days, especially in the age of AI, is to just have a trusted partner, especially when it comes as daunting as people's largest assets, which is their home purchase. It's an investment for them and their future family because after this, when they secure that, they're planning on having kids. And that's a huge responsibility that Tim and I carry, but also a huge honor as well.
It is. In fact, I was just out in California a couple of weeks ago for a client. He is a CEO of a startup AI company, and he specifically sought me and Sophie out because we met years
Years
ago
ago.
through our tech network,
Yeah.
and he thought about us and he wanted to just make sure that him and his family were well taken care of so that he could just focus on his business that he's building. And so he relied on us, and his budget, it's close to a $3 million house. Flew out there, took care of his family, answering questions. You're answering questions on the loan side of the house as well. But it doesn't matter if it's a 300,000 to a $3 million property. We still take really good care of our clients. Where real estate is our second nature, and we love to teach, and we know what it's like, how scary it can be to purchase that first home, but also the fear of making the wrong decision too. But we've been there, we've done that, especially in homesteading. We've made the mistakes, we've overcome a lot of challenges and obstacles, and we want to help our clients get there faster and to avoid making any mistakes that we have made, or any of our other clients that we've heard about the mistakes they've made. And we share that because we want together, we're going to come together as a community. So it doesn't matter if you're looking for a residential home, looking for a homestead, they're all a homestead in our opinion.
And also, if you're an investor, we work with a lot of investors or who are wanting to figure out what to do with their 401k, what to do with their TSP, for example.
That's what I've
I
been
mean,
doing, a lot of that as well.
real
Yeah.
estate has been something that consistently over time, though there may be dips like we all saw in 2008, 2012, 2020, there may be dips, but there's nothing more concrete and solid than real estate. And as we have acquired property throughout the years, we have done our own fair share of having triplexes out in Ohio, which we've now sold because we've learned a lot. And we're happy to provide those any questions around investment as well. If you're looking for a DSCR loan, if you're looking for a short-term rental, midterm rental, BRRRR method, which is where you buy and you renovate, you refi and you rent out and you hold it. These are all things that we have had experience with, if not with ourselves, with a lot of our clients as well. So we can help guide you through that because we have always talked about legacy, what we want to leave behind for our children, not just finances, but skills, and for them to be fully self-resilient and community reliant. Those are skills that we want to teach them. I think when we found out that we were going to have a girl, like I wasn't excited about it because my number one fear has always been about having a girl and her being stuck in a relationship because she couldn't provide for herself. And that is what drives me every single day because as much as like I'm still learning, I'm still growing in my career, I'm still challenging myself with AI and marketing, I have to slow down and take the children along with me because they need to know how to ask the questions. They need to see the problems in the world, and they need to see how they can help fill that gap or that need in a beautiful way, in a genuine and honest way that people will also not take advantage of you. Like, these are the things that keep me up at night. What can I do better to teach them? What are the skills? What's the mindset that they need to have to survive in this very tech forward world, to stay relevant with their skills? And what investments can they make? What questions? What are some skills that we need to invest in? Like, even the pottery business for them, I was saying that it's very fascinating that she wants to go into chiropractic. One of our kids, actually, both of them want to go into chiropractic care. But what's fascinating is they're going to learn the skills, the intuitive skills from feeling that clay, knowing when the clay is centered because you're centered, and then pulling up the wall. And I said, you know when things are off, right? You know how to course correct. That is going to set you light years above any other future chiropractor out there, because you know how to feel and you have built the intuition in your fingertips that many won't have. And so those are things that I'm really excited about. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of work, but worth every little investment. So whether we talk about real estate or food or hobbies or vacation or travel, there's learning opportunities in all of it, and trying to help them find what solutions, what gaps are in the world, and how we can fill it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot. That's our mission right there. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. We hope that this has been a blessing for you in terms of the housing market update, what's been going on with our family or on our homestead, just like how we think. And maybe that will be a blessing for you as you're planning your homestead out and overcoming any challenges there. And if you can just do us a small favor, it's absolutely free. If you just like this video and subscribe to this, wherever you're watching it, on YouTube, on Spotify, it would mean the world to us so that we can continue doing this. Also, as Sophie had mentioned, we just started our Call to Farms community, and we are excited. We're building it out. I just put out the barbed wire course. Also, I've got a homestead security course. So back when I was talking about the ball waters, that's always one of the last things you start implementing into your home, but it's so critical to build the systems, but it's always the expensive part. But as long as you can identify it and save up for it and know when to implement it, by having the system in place, it does help provide homestead security. So that's just an example of how we're implementing it on our own. There's going to be a link below. We'd love for you to join. You can learn helpful homesteading skills in terms of securing your homestead, in terms of how to fence, things that you can directly apply on your own, and also be able to be in community with other like-minded folks who are trying to do the same thing you're doing. And as Sophie mentioned, she's going to have cooking videos on there as well, talk about fermentation. It's pretty exciting because it's leading into our second book too. It's almost like our second book live with this membership. And so we're super excited to bring you this content. So please check it out. If you have any questions, reach out to us. The link is below. And this has just been such a blessing. We hope you've enjoyed this time. We've enjoyed it. It's again, late night again. Our kids are fast asleep, but this is a good time, and we'll get some more regular episodes out.
Yeah, it's almost 11 now, which is
Yeah.
earlier than we normally record. But
Right.
yeah, we just want to thank you so much for hanging out with us, and your subscription to our channel and your support. So we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah. So stay healthy.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.